Some actors became famous from iconic movie roles, but behind the scenes, many of them never wanted those parts in the first place. From Brad Pitt to Robert Pattinson, these actors were trapped in roles they couldn't escape because contracts, studios, and obligations forced them to stay. Brad Pitt didn't choose Troy, he was placed into it. Brad Pitt revealed that after pulling out of another movie, he still owed the studio a project, which led to him being assigned to Troy. It wasn't a film he wanted to make, and during production, he struggled with how the story was being told, feeling it didn't match what he wanted creatively. Despite respecting director Wolfgang Peterson, Pitt admitted the experience wasn't one he was proud of. The role wasn't a passion choice, it was the result of an obligation he had to fulfill. Matt Damon walked into one of his biggest hits with a script he couldn't stand. Matt Damon didn't want to do the Bourne ultimatum after reading a screenplay he described as unreadable and embarrassing. The situation came from a rushed rewrite after the studio's deal with the writer led to only a single draft being completed. With filming approaching fast, the script had to be overhauled at the last minute, but Damon was still expected to move forward. Despite his frustration with the material, he went ahead with the film, even without a script he believed in. Robert Pattinson hated the role that made him famous, but he couldn't walk away from it. Robert Pattinson took on Edward Cullen in Twilight and disliked the character so much that he felt at risk of being fired every day during the first film. Despite that, he was locked into continuing the role for 3 more movies. Even while the franchise turned him into an international star, Pattinson remained openly critical of the character and the experience, stuck playing Edward across multiple films because of the commitment he had already made. Jamie Lee Curtis returned to a role she wanted to leave just to fix how it ended. Jamie Lee Curtis had planned for Halloween H20 to be her final time as Laurie Strode, but when the sequel, Halloween Resurrection, changed the previous ending, she felt compelled to come back. The new storyline revealed her character had killed an innocent man, something she didn't want to leave unresolved. Even though she didn't want to return, she agreed to a brief cameo so the character could have a proper ending, on one condition: Laurie Strode had to die early in the film. Winona Ryder saw the warning signs, but couldn't escape the movie. Winona Ryder agreed to star in Boys, but as production approached, the script kept changing, making her rethink the entire project. Despite her concerns, there was nothing she could do. Her contract was already signed, and she had no control over the rewrites. Even though she tried to get out, she was locked in and had to continue with a film she no longer believed in, all because the terms of her agreement left her without a way to walk away. Marlon Brando didn't just dislike a role, he was forced into it and made sure everyone knew. Marlon Brando had to appear as Napoleon in Desiree after a lawsuit from producer Daryl Zanuck left him with no choice. Instead of quietly going along with it, Brando turned his frustration into chaos on set. He would forget his lines, deliver them in a nasal pseudo-British accent, and disrupt filming by playing around between takes, passing a football, and even spraying extras with a fire hose. Despite all of that, the film still succeeded and earned 2 Oscar nominations. Jennifer Garner signed on for a role she didn't even want to finish. Garner stepped into Elektra after Daredevil set up a spin-off, and early on, there was real excitement around the project. She was already under contract to return, with plans for a bigger story centered on her character. But things quickly shifted. New creative changes replaced the original director, and the final film failed with both critics and audiences. Despite calling the movie awful to Michael Varden, Garner still had to go through with it because her contract from Daredevil required her to complete the spin-off. Alec Baldwin knew he'd made a mistake almost immediately, but he couldn't get out. Alec Baldwin signed on to Rock of Ages to work with director Adam Shankman and a big cast, but quickly realized the project wasn't what he expected. Just a week into it, he had serious doubts and even tried to leave the film. Despite his attempt to back out, the studio didn't release him from his contract, forcing him to stay and complete a movie he later described as a complete disaster. Paul Bettany thought he was joining something fun, then realized he was stuck in a nightmare. Paul Bettany signed on to Dogville after being convinced by his co-star Stellan Skarsgård, who told him the experience would feel like a constant party. But once filming began, Bettany found the production completely different and described it as a hideous experience. By that point, he was already committed and had to see it through. Feeling misled and unable to step away, he completed the film under circumstances he hadn't expected when he first agreed. Patrick Stewart took a role he didn't want, just to fix his house. Patrick Stewart was struggling financially in the 1980s and urgently needed repairs on his home, with a contractor quoting £2,000 for the work. Right after, his agent offered him a role in Wild Geese 2, warning him he wouldn't like it, but the pay was exactly £2,000. With no other option to cover the cost, Stewart accepted the part, playing a Russian colonel in a film he otherwise would have turned down. Natalie Wood didn't choose one of her most famous roles. She was placed into it. Natalie Wood was under a 7-year contract with Warner Brothers during the studio system, which meant she had little control over the roles she took. While still in high school, she was assigned to play Debbie Edwards in The Searchers, even though she felt she wasn't right for the part. With no ability to turn it down, Wood went ahead with the role, becoming part of a film that would later be considered a Western classic. Olivia de Havilland refused a role she didn't want, and the studio punished her for it. Olivia de Havilland was unhappy with the films Warner Brothers kept assigning her under the studio system, and when she rejected the lead in Princess O'Rourke, the studio suspended her. With her career on hold, she eventually had to give in and complete the film. But the situation didn't end there. After her contract expired, the studio claimed she still owed them more work. That battle pushed her into a landmark court case that changed Hollywood forever.